Thomas, but at the Mandela Memorial Service, the official White House photographer was up on the platform with the president, the current president, 2 former presidents. You were asked earlier about the possibility there could have, God forbid, been a terrible incident with this interpreter potential security issue. The official White House photographer was up there, and individual photographers from news organizations that you just hailed were not allowed on that same platform. That was just a couple days ago.
A couple of things, Ed. I mean, I think there were photographers there, and I think if you ask the photographers on the trip, we made, I think our staff went to great lengths to get as much access for all of our traveling press as we could. In fact, got exceptionally more access for our traveling press than we were told we would get. And I think if you ask the people who traveled, they would confirm.
Sure. Just a specific question about that trip, just to get a sense of how this White House approaches this. The flight on Air Force One, which was what, nearly 20 hours over with 20 hours back with 2 presidents on board, historic event. Was there any consideration given to allowing the White House photographers that were there as part of the pool on Air Force One to come up to get a photograph of the 2 presidents?
You know, I don't.
It was a 40-hour flight. There's plenty of time to do something like that.
And they were on the plane too.
And it was requested.
They were on the plane.
I get that, but remember that we're.
It was okay for Pete Souza to take those pictures, right?
Hasn't it always been okay for a White House photographer to take pictures?
Yeah.
But
On the
for
plane,
all the
that's what
hours
they
that
do.
you spoke of, Jay, there was not possible for 1
Oh,
second
look,
to arrange for
I take your point. The fact is that
pictures.
for a lot of those hours, the president, the former president, first lady, and the former first lady were asleep, so we probably weren't going to bring in a still pool for that, or they were having dinner or something like that. But I think I just made clear that I want to work on this issue, and I think that it's.
Is it fair to say you're acknowledging it's an issue? That it's a
Well, it's certainly an issue, and
it's
it's certainly an issue, and I promise you it's been an issue, and I promise you it's been an issue for as long as I've been in Washington, and I can show you a letter from the White House News Photographers Association to my predecessor in the Bush administration complaining about this.
That you think you think this has not been.
I would acknowledge
that a fair
that absolutely
reading of
we
your
need
comments?
that we're going to work with the press and with the photographers to try to address some of their
Have you ever
concerns.
given consideration to the flip side, which is to say, if you guys say to the press, we're not going to let you into an event because we consider it a private event, right? The conversations between the presidents, what have you. And then Pete Souza or whoever takes those photos, have you ever considered saying to them, you can't release those photos? Because we have said it's a private event. Because it surprises all of us when you say it's a private event.
We put on
right?
a schedule when things are open press or closed press. I don't know that we designate them private. What I can say is that here's look, Mike. I think I think this is an important discussion to have, and I think that it's important to have it within the context of all the changes that are happening in the media, and that all of us. When I say us, I was in, by the transformation created by the internet and the pressure that is put on business models. And I think that's what is often never mentioned in op-eds or in other venues where this issue is raised. But some of this anyway has to do with fundamental transformations in the media of which we and other institutions are simply participants, but not we did not create the internet, this administration, and guys.
With Air Force One, the internet had nothing to do with Air Force One. There was constraint.
Hold on, April. Go ahead.
Our problem is the access. You can put out 1 million pictures a day from White House photographer. You bar.
And what I'm saying that it is, and what I'm saying is that we are going to work with, we are going as past White Houses have done. And we hold on, John. And so have we, but just not. Do you think that? Hey guys, if you're telling me that on every flight that President Bush took and every flight that President Clinton took, and hold on, but what I'm saying is, guys, what I'm saying is, we hear you, and I want to address this, and I want to work with the photographers to improve that situation and see if we can be responsive to your concerns. All I'm noting in answer to Michael's question is that this is part of a bigger transformation that's happening out there that's driven by the ability of everyone to post anything on the internet, free of charge, so that you don't have to buy that newspaper or subscribe to that wire service to see that photograph. And that's true, Ann. It's true. Yeah.
The internet had nothing to do, the internet had nothing, on Air Force One, we understand there were constraints
Sure.
in Africa on the ground, but the internet had nothing to do
No,
on Air Force
sure.
One when you had a large group of reporters in the pool, photographers there as well,
Mm-hmm.
who could have come up with Pete Souza to the front of Air Force One and taken a couple of pictures. Maybe not as many as Pete Souza did, but we were
That's-
not
that-
allowed.
And
I-
then you can post as many as you
You-
want.
yes,
I,
but you
I
could
hear
have
you,
allowed
April.
us
I
the
hear you, and I'm
availability.
saying that those are the kind of issues we're gonna address, and I want to work with the Correspondents Association and the photographers to see if we can be responsive in a way that allows them more of the access that they seek, and obviously also allows us to operate the way every other White House is operated.
From these cameras, when you started talking about this, they were letting you know that they're here. Did you hear their
I always
clicks?
know they're here.
No, but I mean, seriously, did you hear their clicks while they were taking pictures of you while you were speaking about this issue?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear them? That was their form of saying, we are here.
I get that, April. Thank you. Brianna, let's give Brianna a chance.
You say it's an issue of distribution being different, but isn't it also the difference of the standard that this administration has set for itself? You say past White Houses have done things similarly. I mean, anyone here can tell you that there's less access than under the Bush administration, and yet it was President
cover Bush?
Obama who said, I did, who said, I did at times, and it was President Obama who talked about transparency
Sure.
being a hallmark of his administration. So isn't it sort of the problem is that he has set up a standard himself that he's not meeting, that his White House is not meeting?
What I can tell you, Brianna, is every White House, every president has had meetings that the press didn't cover. Every White House has released photographs of, if they had children, of presidents and first ladies with their children that obviously the press didn't cover. But I understand that also the press corps has always sought and sometimes demanded more access. And I want to work with, and we want to work with the photographers and others to see how we can be more responsive, understanding that I will not live to see the day, and neither will you, when independent journalists who cover the White House will say, you know what, I got all the access I wanted today or this week or that month. It's not going to happen.
That's not what we're
No,
asking for. I mean,
but
if you say
there's the issue of access. I think that's what you just identified versus distribution. So there are two things here, and what we can address is access. But I can tell you that in a lot of the conversations I've had with photographers, it's also come down to distribution and what they view as competition, because those photographs become available and create competition to them because of the way that, the modern ways that these things can be distributed, not through news organizations. And I'm sympathetic to that, and I understand it, and I understand the downward pressure that the internet creates on media organizations, all of the ones represented here by and large. But on the access issue, that's something we can address, and we're going to try to address.
You say you're going to work to address that. So does that mean that you will allow photographers into
We're gonna
and
address-
reporters and
trying to,
editorial I get producers and reporters into events that you're not. I mean, you're saying you're working with
Yeah.
them, but what does that mean? Are you actually doing
I'm saying that
something?
we
are
are
you
going
just
to, we
talking
have
about it?
been meeting with representatives of the White House correspondents, and we will continue to work to increase access, to be responsive to some of these concerns. But I can promise you that the outcome of that will not be complete satisfaction, because there are going to be occasions, as there have been with every president, that the press is not present in a meeting or a situation involving the president where there are existing photographs because a White House photographer took them. And some of those are national security related. Some of those are...
Are you going to concrete examples of turning the dial towards more
Yeah.
openness?
Yeah,
So there will be?
We are going to we are going to work on getting more access, but I can again promise
What
that
does that mean we're going to work on? Are you going to give the
Brianna,
access? What does it mean, working on?
I'm saying that
giving-
we're going to work on finding ways to be responsive and provide more access. What I can promise you, though, is that there will continue to be occasions with this president, as there have been with every one of his 43 predecessors, where there are meetings and events and moments that are not covered by the outside press. That's gonna, no, I know, but I'm saying, but I'm also saying that what I don't expect in response to improvements that we make that might be welcomed, that everybody will say, okay, now we're satisfied, because then you wouldn't be doing your job, and I get that.
But do you acknowledge that this White House has provided less access than previous White Houses? You know, for instance, to the Oval Office, that you put out. You have
I can say that the statement in that piece about the Oval Office was factually wrong, but I can tell you that in my experience, as a reporter, now I wasn't a photographer, the answer to that is I completely reject it.
So what are you working on then? You're saying
I can tell you that this,
provided more access.
I'm saying
than
on the
previous-
issue of photographers, I want to work with on giving photographers more access. They have come to us and been very clear about their concerns, and we want to address those concerns in the best way that we can.
Can I ask a
Hey,
question
guys.
about the new,
Guys.
about the
And just
Newtown
back-
anniversary?